Deep in the uncharted regions of the Keithril Expanse, the alien fleet moved cautiously. The void was quiet, but tension hummed through the command ships like an electric current. For months, rumors had circulated about a human battleship drifting near the Parenthis star system. No one had confirmed its existence, but sightings and minor encounters hinted at something extraordinary, something unlike anything in the galaxy. Admiral Velith, a tall and sharp-eyed Therokian, peered at the hollow display in front of him. The ship's outline was jagged and irregular, almost chaotic, yet somehow perfect. Sensors couldn't determine its exact class, and that was unsettling. "It should not exist," he muttered. His claws tapped nervously on the command console. No human ship should be capable of traversing these regions undetected, and yet it is here. Commander Rahl, a younger officer, approached. His eyes flickered with curiosity and fear. "Admiral, our long-range scans are picking up energy fluctuations. They are unusual. The ship's shields are not consistent with known human designs." Velith nodded grimly. "Exactly. They are using a shielding system that defies our calculations. It is adaptive. Every time our sensors probe, it shifts, changes. I have never seen anything like it." From the observation deck, the fleet of alien ships appeared minuscule against the vastness of space. Their sleek forms gleamed in the faint starlight, all precision and discipline, yet here they were, uneasy. Humans had a reputation for surviving the impossible, but a ship like this, it was more than a rumor, it was a challenge. Lieutenant Krell, a junior officer, broke the silence. "Sir, sensors are showing micro-movements within the hull. It is as if the ship itself is alive. It is stationary, yet the readings suggest subtle shifts." Velith frowned, leaning closer to the console. "Alive," he repeated. "That is impossible. Ships do not move on their own. They obey their pilots. They obey orders, nothing else." Yet the data could not lie. Every time the fleet tried to predict the ship's energy pulses or shield responses, the readings altered just enough to confuse them. Even the most sophisticated Therokian computers struggled to make sense of it. "Perhaps it is a trap," muttered Commander Rahl, his voice low. "Humans are clever, this could be bait." "Perhaps," Velith agreed, "but if it is a trap, it is unlike anything we have ever faced. Every instinct in my body tells me this ship is not just a vessel, it is something more." The alien fleet maintained its distance. Dozens of ships hovered in formation, their weapons primed but not yet active. None dared approach too closely. Humans were unpredictable, and these aliens knew enough to respect that unpredictability. A young technician, Terrell, worked frantically at a nearby console. "Admiral," he said, his antennae twitching nervously, "the ship systems are emitting interference patterns. Our probes cannot penetrate its outer hull. It's as if the ship reads our scans and adjusts in real time. Every attempt to understand it fails." Velith's eyes narrowed. "That is exactly what humans do," he said quietly. "They adapt, they improvise, they see the impossible and make it routine." Across the fleet, whispers spread like wildfire. Alien crews had faced humans before in skirmishes, in minor border disputes, and always, somehow, humans had prevailed. Not always by brute force, but by ingenuity. And now, here was a vessel that seemed to embody everything terrifying about humanity: unpredictable, adaptable, unstoppable. The fleet commander activated a larger scan. Energy beams stretched across the void, probing the human battleship from multiple angles. The ship did not flinch. It did not fire. Yet slowly, almost imperceptibly, the readings shifted. Shields warped, compartments reconfigured, and the energy signatures altered in ways the aliens could not fully understand. Velith tapped his claw on the console, frustration and awe warring within him. "It is reading us," he said. "It knows exactly what we are doing. Every scan, every probe, every calculation it knows. And it does not care." Lieutenant Krell shivered. "Sir, sensors show something else. Internal movement. Systems are active, but there are no life forms visible, no crew, yet it functions perfectly. It repairs itself. Even minor damage from cosmic debris is absorbed and fixed immediately. Velith took a deep breath. It is alive in a sense we cannot comprehend. A ship designed to fight, to survive, to outthink anything that threatens it. This, this is a human weapon unlike any other. For hours, the fleet observed intense silence. Alien officers debated what to do next. Some argued for a cautious approach, sending smaller probe ships to investigate. Others urged caution, fearing that even a single human drone could destroy their scouts. Every plan seemed flawed, every option dangerous. Finally, a signal arrived from the human battleship. It was not aggressive. It was not threatening. It was simple, almost polite, but the aliens did not understand the language. Still, there was an unmistakable confidence in the transmission, a calm assertion that humans were in control. Velith leaned back, his mind racing. "They do not need to attack," he murmured. "They do not need to move. The mere presence of that ship terrifies us." Commander Rawl swallowed hard. "Do you think it can destroy us all?" Velith's eyes were fixed on the human battleship. "It is not about destruction. It is about the possibility of destruction. The humans do not need to fight to win. They only need to exist. And in this existence, they rewrite the rules of engagement. That terrifies every officer in this fleet." The human battleship remained still, almost meditative, as the alien fleet hovered tens of thousands of kilometers away. Its hull reflected the distant starlight, shimmering with an almost ethereal glow. Every alien sensor, every probe, every attempt to quantify its capabilities failed. The ship was an enigma, a living puzzle that no calculation could solve. Terrell finally whispered, more to himself than anyone else, "I don't think they are even aware of us yet." And that is what makes them the most dangerous. They don't need fear to fight. They fight because they choose to, and they will always find a way. Velith nodded slowly. He had faced countless threats in his long career, yet nothing had prepared him for this. Humans were a problem that could not be measured, predicted, or contained. And the galaxy would soon learn that when humans arrived, even in silence, the results were always catastrophic for their enemies. Hours passed. The alien fleet remained in observation mode, unwilling to act yet unable to retreat. Every crew member felt the weight of the human ship's presence pressing down on them. Fear, awe, and confusion mingled in the command centers like a storm. Then, the unthinkable happened. A subtle flicker of light moved across the human hull, not a weapon, not an engine flare, just a pulse, a movement so small it might have been ignored. But the aliens saw it immediately. It was a signal, a test. And somehow it was enough to remind them that the humans were always in control, always calculating, always one step ahead. Admiral Velith's claws tightened on the console. "Prepare all fleets," he ordered. "Do not fire, do not approach. Observe, record, and pray we survive this encounter." No one spoke for a long moment. The alien fleet was frozen, caught between curiosity and terror. Outside the observation ports, the human battleship waited, perfectly still, yet alive in a way that no alien mind could fully comprehend. And in that silence, the first undeniable truth settled over the Tharokian officers. They were staring not just at a ship, but at the very embodiment of human ingenuity, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The alien fleet hovered in uneasy silence, their sensors scanning the human battleship from every possible angle. Yet with every attempt to penetrate its hull, the readings shifted. It was as if the ship itself anticipated every move, every calculation, and adapted instantly. Admiral Velith's claws drummed lightly on the command console, an outward sign of his inner tension. "Admiral," said Commander Rawl, his voice low and tense, "the deeper we scan, the more impossible it becomes. The hull, the shields, even the internal compartments, they don't behave according to any known human or alien technology. It is adaptive, self-healing, almost sentient. Velith didn't reply immediately. He studied the flickering holograms showing the battleship's energy flows. "We've fought humans before," he murmured, "but never like this. Every human ship we faced was dangerous, yes, but predictable. This is different. This is not just a ship, it is strategy made flesh, intelligence made steel." Lieutenant Krell leaned over a side console, his antennae twitching nervously. "Sir, the systems inside the hull, our scans show something strange. Compartments opening and closing in ways that make no sense. Power rerouting faster than our sensors can follow. Some kind of automated logic, maybe AI, but more advanced than anything in known human records." Velith's eyes narrowed. "Not just advanced," he said slowly. "Clever. Calculating. Humans don't just build machines. They build machines that think, machines that predict, machines that fight like humans think. And apparently, they've taught this one to do all of it without anyone even on board." In the fleet's science division, alien engineers and researchers struggled to comprehend the data streaming in. Every layer they analyzed revealed more mysteries. Weapons systems were hidden behind false energy signatures. Decoy compartments masked the true layout, and stealth fields adjusted to counter any detection method. It was as if the ship itself was aware of being observed and actively resisted comprehension. One scientist, Telmer, voiced what no one else dared. "It's almost alive. Not alive like we are, of course, but it functions with intelligence. Its systems anticipate our scans. It adapts faster than we can calculate. If this ship were hostile," his words trailed off. Commander Rawls' antennae twitched in agreement. "Hostile would be catastrophic, but so far it hasn't fired a single shot. It's merely there, waiting. And yet the danger is immense." Admiral Velith stood, pacing the command bridge. His gaze never left the holographic projection of the human battleship. "They are humans," he said quietly. "They don't need to strike first. Humans win because of their mind, their courage, their ability to turn impossible situations into advantage. This ship, it embodies all of that. And it terrifies us because it doesn't need to do anything to dominate the battlefield. It merely exists, and we are already at a disadvantage." Across the bridge, reports began to flood in from the alien scouts. Small drones sent closer to the ship were met with unexpected interference. One by one, they returned damaged, or not at all. Every probe that entered the human battleship's scanning field was met with a sophisticated countermeasure, subtle and precise, yet devastating in effect. Lieutenant Krell frowned. "Sir, it isn't attacking, not yet, but every probe that approaches is neutralized. Not destroyed exactly, but rendered useless. Every strategy we try fails before it even begins. It's like it's teaching us our limitations." Velith's jaw tightened. "Humans have always done this. Every time they face an enemy that believes itself invincible, they find the cracks, the weak points, and exploit them. And now this one ship is teaching us the same lesson." In the Alien War Council chambers, debate raged. Admiral Velith argued for caution, urging patience and observation. Some younger officers, brimming with bravado, insisted on sending a full strike force, confident that brute force would overwhelm the humans. Others, scarred by prior encounters with human ingenuity, advised retreat. "You underestimate them," shouted one officer. "A single human ship cannot be this advanced. There must be more. Reinforcements, hidden fleets." Velith shook his head. "You underestimate them not because of numbers but because of thought. Humans do not need a fleet. They need strategy, intelligence, and adaptability. This battleship has all three amplified. Any attack now will fail. And if it doesn't, then it will be the last mistake this fleet makes." Meanwhile, aboard the human battleship, no one reacted, or at least no one visible to alien sensors. The ship moved with silent precision, adjusting shields, rerouting power, testing the alien fleet's patience and understanding. For the humans, this was routine. They did not need to strike. Observation, assessment, and subtle influence were more than enough. Back on the alien command bridge, sensors picked up something new, subtle pulses of energy almost like signals. They were not weapons. They were not scans. They were communication, patterns too complex for the aliens to decipher. Yet the effect was unmistakable. Every officer who observed the pulses felt exposed, as if the ship understood their thoughts, their fears, their intentions. Terrell, the technician, whispered, "It's analyzing us. Not our ships, not our weapons, us. The crews, our strategies, our weaknesses. And it doesn't need to attack to win." Commander Rawl shivered. "How can a ship do that?" Velith did not answer immediately. He studied the projections, the flowing lines of energy, the subtle changes in shield patterns, and the invisible logic running the ship's defenses. "It is not a question of how," he said finally. "It is a question of who. Humans, they always find a way. They teach us fear, not by fighting but by being themselves." Hours turned into cycles. The alien fleet continued its cautious observation. Each new scan yielded more questions than answers. Engineers argued, debated, and sometimes despaired as the human battleship defied their every attempt at comprehension. Even the most advanced Thyrokian computation arrays overloaded, unable to keep up with the adaptive logic. Admiral Velith finally called for a meeting of his senior officers. "Listen carefully," he said, his voice steady despite the tension. "We are facing something that is not just advanced technology. We are facing human ingenuity given form. And it is terrifying because it cannot be contained, it cannot be predicted, and it cannot be destroyed easily. We do not know the limits of its power, and that is why we must proceed with caution." One officer, younger and impulsive, spoke up. "Admiral, if we do nothing, won't they simply leave? Or worse, attack us later?" Velith's eyes met his. "Perhaps. Or perhaps they are waiting for us to act, to reveal our weaknesses. That is what humans do. They do not strike recklessly. They wait, observe, and when the moment comes, they turn the impossible into victory. Every encounter we have had with humans proves this, and every time we underestimated them. Never again." As night fell across the observation decks, if one could call it night in the endless void of space, the human battleship remained motionless. Yet, in its silence, it spoke louder than any weapons could. Every alien officer, every engineer, every pilot felt the pressure of its presence. Fear was not fear of destruction. It was fear of the unknown, fear of an intelligence that could outthink them, fear of the inevitability that humans represented. Finally, Terrell spoke, his voice trembling. "Sir, I don't think it has even noticed us yet, and that is what terrifies me most. It doesn't need to, and when it does, we won't even know how it began." Admiral Velith nodded slowly. He had faced many enemies, many threats, but none like this. Humans did not rely solely on firepower. They relied on strategy, courage, and adaptability, qualities that could not be measured or predicted. And this battleship was the perfect embodiment of that philosophy. He leaned closer to the console, watching the subtle pulse of energy along the hull of the human ship. "Prepare detailed reports," he said. "Send every observation to command fleets across the sectors. Make no mistake, we are witnessing something that will change the galaxy's understanding of humans forever. This ship is not just a vessel, it is a statement. And the statement is simple: underestimate humans at your own peril." As the alien fleet continued to analyze, the human battleship waited, silent, patient, and implacable. Every sensor failure, every failed probe, every miscalculated strategy confirmed the terrifying truth. Humans did not need to fight to win. They only needed to exist, and the galaxy would take notice. In the observation decks, officers whispered among themselves, eyes wide with awe and fear. The human ship was more than a weapon. It was a puzzle, a challenge, and a warning. And for the Thyrokians, the message was clear. They had underestimated humans, and now they were paying the price, not with firepower, but with the knowledge that nothing they knew could truly defeat them. The human battleship remained still, a quiet sentinel in the void, as the alien fleet struggled to understand the impossible. And in that silence, one undeniable truth settled over every officer aboard every ship. The humans were not only survivors, not only warriors, they were the future, and the galaxy would tremble when it truly understood them. The alien fleet had spent countless cycles observing the human battleship, analyzing its movements, studying its energy patterns, and debating what to do next. Fear had grown into a heavy weight across every command deck. No ship in the fleet had ever evoked such a mixture of awe and terror. Admiral Velith stood on the observation platform of his command ship, watching the human vessel drift silently against the backdrop of distant stars. It had remained stationary for hours, yet its presence felt alive, deliberate, intelligent, and full of quiet power. The alien officers had grown restless, some impatient with the wait, others too nervous to speak. "We cannot remain passive forever," said Commander Rawl. "Our scouts report that even minor probes are neutralized before they reach the hull. If we hesitate, the humans will know our capabilities before we do. Perhaps we should strike now while they are still testing us." Velith's eyes narrowed. "Strike? Do you not understand what we are facing? They do not need to attack to dominate. Every time we scan, every time we send a probe, they learn, they adapt. They are teaching us, testing us, and if we make the wrong move, if we attack recklessly, we will not survive. Humans do not fight blindly. They calculate. They observe. And when the moment comes, they turn the impossible into victory." Lieutenant Krell twitched nervously at his console. "Sir, sensors detect new energy pulses. They are not weapons. They are measurements. They are calculating our formations, predicting our moves." Velith's claws tapped the console, his frustration and fear growing. "I have commanded fleets through the deadliest sectors of the galaxy. I have faced pirates, warlords, even the Chiron Dominion. But nothing has prepared me for this. Humans are not just warriors, they are problems no one can solve. And this ship, it is a masterclass in human ingenuity." Across the fleet, the younger officers argued. "We cannot sit here forever," one shouted. "If we retreat now, we appear weak." "The humans will see it as a victory before a shot is fired." Velith turned sharply. "Weak? No, we are alive, and we will remain alive if we do not make mistakes. That is not weakness, that is strategy. The humans will respect intelligence, but they will punish arrogance." Despite the tension, the alien fleet began a cautious maneuver. Small groups of ships moved closer, probing the human ship's perimeter. Every micro-movement was tracked, analyzed, and immediately countered. The human battleship did not fire a single weapon, yet the aliens felt pressure in every system, every console. Their scanners returned with incomplete, conflicting, and sometimes impossible readings. One pilot, Telric, reported, "Sir, it's predicting our formations. Every maneuver we attempt is met with an equal and opposite adjustment. No human ship should be capable of this. Our formations are meaningless to them." Velith did not answer immediately. He had seen enough. Humans had always been adaptive, turning disadvantages into opportunities. This battleship seemed to embody every quality that made humanity terrifying to the galaxy: ingenuity, patience, and the ability to turn observation into overwhelming advantage. Suddenly, one of the alien scouts attempting to get closer disappeared from the sensors. Not destroyed, not even damaged, simply gone. The officers exchanged nervous glances. "Impossible," whispered Lieutenant Krell. It didn't fire, it didn't attack. And yet it neutralized the scout entirely. It's like it erased it from existence." Commander Rawl swallowed hard. "No, that's not possible. Nothing can disappear like that." Velith's expression was grim. "Humans do not play by our rules, and this is the part we always forget." They invent new rules as they go, using our weaknesses against us before we even realize them. Across the fleet, hesitation spread like a virus. Every captain second-guessed every decision. The younger officers' calls for aggression were met with silence, fear, and dread. The human battleship had not moved aggressively, had not fired a single shot, yet every system and sensor on the alien fleet screamed danger. And then, the first human drone appeared. Not a weapon, not a fighter, just a small, sleek drone no larger than a human shuttle. But its sensors analyzed the entire alien formation in moments, sending back data that allowed the ship to adjust its defenses and shields in real time. Every attempt by the aliens to flank or isolate it failed. Every probe they sent was countered. Every strategy collapsed before it could begin. Lieutenant Krell's antennae twitched in disbelief. It's reading us, not just our ships, us, the crews, our tactics it knows. Velith nodded, his face tight. Yes, and that is why we hesitate. We are facing more than technology. We are facing humanity itself, intelligent, patient, unstoppable. And if we make one mistake, the younger officers remain stubborn. Sir, we must act. We cannot just stand here. Velith turned sharply, his eyes blazing. Do you think the humans do not see this? Every hesitation, every mistake, every arrogance, they see it all. They wait. And when the moment comes, we will pay. Despite his warnings, some ships moved closer, attempting a direct strike. The human battleship did not respond. But the alien pilots soon realized the truth. Every shot, every maneuver, every approach was rendered useless by systems they could not see, shields they could not understand, and tactics that made no sense until too late. A single formation of alien ships found themselves trapped in a subtle gravitational distortion, unable to escape, yet untouched. Panic spread as the systems recalculated in real time, energy being rerouted automatically. Nothing had attacked them, nothing had fired. Yet they were contained, observed, analyzed. Telric, voice shaking, reported, "Sir, it's not attacking, but it controls everything we do. We cannot escape, we cannot fight, we cannot even communicate without it reading us first. It's perfect." Velith's gaze never left the human battleship. "And that, my officers," he said quietly, "is the most terrifying thing. It does not need to fight, it does not need to destroy, it only needs to exist, and our minds already count it victorious." The alien fleet hesitated, unsure whether to continue their maneuvers or retreat entirely. They had come to test, to observe, perhaps even to intimidate. Instead, they found themselves the ones under scrutiny, their every action anticipated and countered without a single aggressive gesture from the humans. And then, a calm, clear transmission arrived from the human battleship. Not in words the aliens understood, but in tone, in rhythm, in pattern. It conveyed certainty and authority. The humans were aware of them. They had measured them, and they were not concerned. Admiral Velith studied the transmission. "Do you understand?" he asked no one in particular. "They are not angry, they are not aggressive, they do not need to be. And yet this message alone tells us more than an entire armada could convey in battle. They are in control, and we are merely observers." The younger officers swallowed hard. Some began to reconsider their previous calls for aggression. The older, wiser officers nodded slowly, understanding fully the depth of the human advantage. Lieutenant Krell whispered almost to himself, "Sir, we are witnessing something beyond technology. This is strategy. This is intelligence. This is humanity." Velith's expression was grim. He knew that every fleet, every species that faced humans would learn the same lesson. Brute strength alone could not overcome ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. The human ship was not just a weapon, it was a statement, a warning, a reminder of what humans represented in the galaxy: unpredictable, unstoppable, and terrifying in the most subtle way possible. The standoff continued for cycles, the alien fleet paralyzed by fear and admiration. Every move they considered was countered before it could begin. Every probe sent to gather intelligence was nullified. And yet, not a single human had fired a shot. Finally, Velith gave the order that saved the fleet from immediate disaster. Hold your positions. Do not attack. Observe, learn, and survive. For the first time, some officers understood what it meant to face humanity. It was not about who had the bigger guns or the faster ships. It was about thought, courage, and the ability to turn observation into victory. The human battleship had not yet fought, and yet the aliens had already lost. As the human vessel drifted silently, almost meditative, the alien fleet realized a terrifying truth. Humans did not need to fight to win. They needed only to exist, to observe, to calculate, and the galaxy would obey or tremble before them. And in that silence, every officer aboard every ship knew it. The humans were not merely a species to be defeated. They were a force of nature, an intelligence impossible to measure, and a presence that would forever change the rules of war in the galaxy. The alien fleet hovered tens of thousands of kilometers from the human battleship, still uncertain what to do. Fear had settled into every heart, every mind, and even the most confident officers hesitated. Not a single weapon had fired, yet every system, every calculation, every thought in the alien fleet had been tested and measured. Humans had not struck, and yet they had already dominated. Admiral Velith stood at the observation deck, staring at the silent ship that had caused more dread than any battle he had ever faced. The vessel did not move aggressively, but it radiated control, intelligence, and confidence. The aliens could see the power in every subtle pulse, every flicker of energy along its hull. The human ship was alive, not with biological life, but with strategy, ingenuity, and purpose. "Sir," whispered Commander Rawl, they know us. Not just our ships, our fleet formations, or our technology, they know us. They have studied us, measured us, predicted us, and yet they remain calm. Velith nodded slowly. Yes, and that is the terrifying part. Humans do not need to strike to win. They do not need to fire a single shot. They are victory made manifest, and right now we are losing even though nothing has happened. In the fleet, officers whispered nervously. Some suggested retreat, others argued for a direct attack. But every suggestion was immediately dismissed in the minds of those who remembered their previous encounters with humans. Strategy, observation, and patience. These were the weapons humans wielded more effectively than any laser, missile, or plasma cannon. Suddenly, a small probe emerged from the human battleship. Not a fighter, not an aggressive drone, just a sleek, compact device, barely noticeable against the vast backdrop of space. The probe drifted among the alien ships, scanning silently. It did not attack. It did not threaten, and yet every alien officer felt its presence. Every movement was calculated, anticipated, and mirrored by the human vessel. "Sir," Lieutenant Krell murmured, "it's analyzing everything. Every formation, every signal, every attempt to communicate, it sees it all. And it is doing nothing, nothing at all." Velith's expression was grave. "And that, my officers, is the ultimate lesson. Humans do not need to strike to win. They need only to exist, to calculate, and to act when the moment is right. They are patient, adaptive, and always one step ahead. And this ship," he gestured toward the silent vessel, "this ship is the perfect example." Across the fleet, younger officers began to grasp the magnitude of the situation. Some panicked, their hands trembling over controls. Others froze entirely, unable to speak. The humans had not fired a weapon, yet the alien fleet had already lost their confidence, their certainty, and in many ways their courage. Then a calm transmission arrived from the human battleship. It was simple, concise, and perfectly clear in intent. The aliens could not understand the language, yet the tone conveyed absolute authority. The humans were aware of them, had measured them, and were entirely unconcerned. It was a statement. "We are here. We know you. and we choose not to strike yet." The officers aboard the alien command ships exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered of retreat, others of diplomacy. But Velith understood the truth more clearly than anyone else. Humans were not negotiating. They were teaching a lesson. And the lesson was being delivered without a single weapon fired. Velith activated the fleet's internal communications. "All units," he said, voice steady despite the tension, "stand down, do not fire, do not approach, observe, learn, and survive. Every action we take now will be studied and remembered. We must not make mistakes." The alien fleet complied. Ships adjusted formations, weapons were powered down, and sensors focused entirely on observation. Every officer knew they were witnessing history, an encounter with a species that did not play by normal rules and whose intelligence far surpassed their own expectations. Meanwhile, the human battleship began to move. Not aggressively, not threateningly, but with deliberate, precise motion. It shifted closer, revealing more of its form to the alien sensors. Every adjustment was perfect. Shields reconfigured instantly. Energy outputs were balanced to optimize both defense and observation. And still not a single weapon fired. Admiral Velith studied the holographic projection of the ship. "See how it moves," he said. "Every motion is calculated to observe, to measure, and to maintain control. This is not movement for aggression. This is movement for dominance." "They are demonstrating power without fighting," Lieutenant Krell whispered. It's perfect. Every formation we try is countered without a single shot, and every system we use is being measured, analyzed, and recorded." Velith nodded. "Humans do not need to attack to win. They only need to exist, and this ship proves it. We cannot outthink them, outmaneuver them, or intimidate them, and that is why they terrify every species that faces them." Hours passed. The alien fleet remained frozen, observing and learning. Every attempt to probe, scan, or communicate was met with subtle countermeasures. Energy fields shifted, signals were rerouted, and every movement the aliens attempted was predicted and neutralized, not aggressively, but intelligently. Then the human battleship transmitted another message. This one was more direct. Again, the aliens could not understand the words, but the tone conveyed absolute authority. "We will not attack unless provoked, but if provoked, the consequences will be beyond your imagination." Velith felt a chill. "They do not threaten," he said quietly. "They warn, and the warning is enough. Not a single weapon fired, and yet our fleet feels the weight of consequences we cannot comprehend." Across the fleet, officers whispered to one another, eyes wide with awe and fear. They had faced humans before, yes, but never like this. Never a ship that could dominate thought, strategy, and perception without firing a single shot. Commander Rahl shook his head. "We cannot fight them, we cannot escape them, we cannot even communicate without them understanding everything we try to convey. They are beyond us." Velith nodded. "Yes, and that is the final truth. Humans are not just a species, they are a force of nature. They are intelligence, courage, and ingenuity made manifest, and this ship, this single battleship, proves it." As the alien fleet watched, the human ship slowly drifted away, departing from the system without aggression. It left no damage, no debris, no warning salvo, only a sense of awe and an undeniable understanding. Humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Velith turned to his officers. "Record every detail, every scan, every anomaly, every subtle movement. Send reports to all fleets. Humanity is not to be underestimated. They are not merely warriors, they are masters of strategy, adaptability, and intelligence. And now we know that one human ship can teach more lessons in a single encounter than any entire armada ever could." Lieutenant Krell swallowed hard. "Sir, do you think we'll ever face another human ship like this? One that does not even fire a weapon, yet dominates everything it touches?" Velith's gaze returned to the stars, to the fading silhouette of the human battleship. Perhaps. But next time we will remember. Next time we will think twice before assuming we are the hunters. For humans are not merely soldiers, they are a problem no one can solve, and they will always find a way. The alien fleet regrouped, shaken and humbled. Some suggested retreat entirely, while others spoke of diplomacy, alliances, and treaties. But every officer knew the truth deep in their minds. Humans did not rely on intimidation or fear alone. They relied on intelligence, creativity, courage, and adaptability. And that was a combination no species could fully match. As the human battleship disappeared into the distance, its mission complete, the aliens finally understood why humanity had survived against impossible odds, why they had become legends, and why the galaxy would never dare to underestimate them again. It was not the weapons that made humans terrifying. It was not the numbers, the firepower, or the speed. It was their mind, their courage, and their ability to turn the impossible into reality. And the human battleship had demonstrated it all quietly, perfectly, and without firing a single shot. Admiral Velith's final thought, as he recorded his report for the entire armada, was simple. We did not face a ship. We faced humanity itself, and it is unstoppable. And in the endless void of space, the human battleship continued its journey, a silent sentinel, a perfect embodiment of ingenuity, courage, and inevitability. A reminder to every species that underestimated humans that even in stillness, they commanded the galaxy.